And so as we stand on the precipice of a year going from 2020 to 2021, we also are on the precipice of moving from the book of Genesis to the book of Exodus. So what is the book of Genesis? It's a story of individuals. It's a story of Adam and Eve and Noah and Abraham and Sarah and Isaac and Rebekah and Rachel and Leah and Jacob and Joseph and all the figures that we know, the individuals who grapple with Judaism. They all are in their little own abodes. Abraham in his tent, Isaac in his own space, Jacob in his own home, Joseph sequestered in the first diaspora in history in Egypt, growing up as an Egyptian. It's all about their individual stories, staying in their individual places. Interesting. Sounds a lot like 2020. Standing in your own tent, having individual experiences, not being able to be part of a community or a people. You're just an individual and you're struggling with health. You're struggling with opportunities that are yet unknown to interact with other people. Sounds a lot like the book of Genesis. The idea of a creation, that creation is not finished, and God gave us minds and abilities to which to continue to create the world and recreate the world. The opportunity to create new congregations that go on Zoom for high holiday services. That's a recreation. The idea that you come to synagogue tonight, those of you who are here wearing masks and socially distanced from the rabbi and cantor, that's certainly a new creation. A vaccine vaccines that have been created in record time, in a new way, a different way. This is also a form of recreation, all from the book of Genesis. And now, in 2021, we make the move to the book of Exodus. And what is the book of Exodus? The book of Exodus is the building of individuals to a community, to a sense of peoplehood. Moses begins the process as a slave, enslaved and raised up in Egypt eventually. And then he begins the transition of making individuals into a community. The people of Israel, individual slaves being built into a community. But it's not easy to take people who live in their individual spaces and build them in the community as we know now. And the challenge for us will be in the year 2021, as a new year, and hopefully by the end of this year, is to move from our individual spaces back into being a community. I venture to say that the community will not look like the community did before 2020. It will look different. It will feel different. And the challenge for each of us will be, how are we going to move from our individual self-contained spaces now into forming again a community? How do we move from being responsible for ourselves, own little environment, to once again being responsible to the entire world, the entire community here at CRJ, the entire Orlando community, the entire Central Florida community, the entire United States community, the entire world community? How will we change as we transition like the book of Exodus? How will we make the transition from being individuals sequestered in our own homes back into the community? Will we wander for 40 years? I hope not. Will we have experiences along the way, though? Will we experience some plagues? Maybe. Will we experience redemption and freedom? I think so. The day that they announce on the TV or radio that you are free to run out of your houses without masks and be able to interact with other people will feel like the slaves that were freed from Egypt. But we may wander in the desert for a little while till we get there. We may experience some new learning and some new growth, some new revelation as the Israelites experienced. We may even experience a few people doing a little bit of kvetching. There may be some complaining in the year 2021, believe it or not, but even the Israelites complained along the way and God gave them a second chance. A good message for all of us as we make the transition from our homes back in the community. But like the Israelites, eventually building a community of responsibility toward one another, and also the responsibility to be measured as a community by how we take care of the weakest amongst us. That is a Jewish value. There are people, as we sit here tonight celebrating Shabbat, who are on food lines because they don't have enough food to eat. And so as we move from Genesis to Exodus, how will we take on the responsibility of making sure that the most needy among us are fed and clothed? How will we do that as this last week members of this congregation gathered together to deliver hundreds of meals to those who needed meals, to donate to Second Harvest Food Bank, to give financial resources for them to buy food for those who stand on lines who are hungry? How will we take that responsibility? In Exodus, 36 times it says, "You shall not oppress the widow, the orphan, or the stranger, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt." The widow, the orphan, and the stranger, the most vulnerable amongst us, those who do not have any community surrounding them. And so as we enter into the book of Exodus in 2021, we will have the responsibility to take care of the widow, the orphan, and the stranger. We will have the opportunity to rebuild our CRJ community. That will look different and will feel different. We will have the opportunity of all of the members having input and say into what they want this community to look like post-COVID. They will have the opportunity for new learning modes, new meeting modes. We will never, ever, just like the Israelites, as they came out of Egypt, they would never, ever be the same. So too, we as a congregation and community will never, ever be the same. I look forward to it, this new beginning filled with hope, this beginning filled with opportunity, this beginning filled with the responsibility towards others. I know it's not happening right now on January 1st, but it will happen sometime, God willing and people willing, in 2021. We will get past this, and we will be different people than we were before, just like the Israelites. I hope that we have the same faith that they had. I hope we have the same determination that the Israelites exhibited. And in the end, as the book of Exodus ends, it ends with a story about unification and about a sense of peoplehood. Let each of us, as we leave our own little space, our own little silo, may we take the responsibility to once again build a community of strength, build a community of social justice, build a community of love and responsibility toward our fellow human beings, and build a community that makes a difference in the world. Ken Yi Ratzon, may that be God's will, and then be our responsibility. Amen.